Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Midweek Takeaway. Today we're joined by Sam Garrett, CEO of Great Southern Copper. Welcome, Sam. Hope you're well.
Welcome, Phil. Thanks very much.
Cheers. So obviously this morning we've seen the news regarding drilling, which has confirmed a fracture-hosted copper target at the San Lorenzo Project. Do you want to just talk the listeners through just how significant this news is?
It's an important first step for us. We've known for a long time since we started working and evaluating the project that we've got this large alteration system visible at surface, which comprises sheeted fracturing. And those sheeted fracturings are characterised by, oxide minerals. So this drilling confirms that those oxide minerals have the potential to be sulfide at depth below the oxidation surface.
Very good. So obviously, going back back in time a little bit, you IPO'd in December 21, so you're a relative newcomer to the market, and certainly in the UK, and successfully raised $3.5 million in the process. Do you want to just tell the listeners about your track record as a CEO and also how Great Southern Copper was born?
Well, my track record is very limited. This is my first gig as a CEO, and I'm very honoured to have the position. I have been working in parallel as the executive director for an ASX-listed company, Flynn Gold. Flynn listed in June last year, raising 10 million Australian dollars, much of which, about 40% of which was raised out of the UK as well. But Flynn and Great Southern Copper are sister companies, born out of the same private entity that I founded, along with the senior investor Colin Burke. And because of the jurisdictions, I guess, of the two separate projects at the time, it was deemed appropriate to hold them in separate entities. So that's where Great Southern Copper has been born from. We've been working there in Chile on these projects since about 2016, 2017. And most of that work in the early days was really sort of getting our footprint together and understanding the local conditions, understanding the terrain, understanding the mineralisation types, and sort of building on that and building up a picture. It's quite difficult in Chile to build up a significant sort of land position. So we've worked very hard to get to where we are now.
Okay. Sam, tell me about the actual size of this, or the potential size of this system, because it seems like it runs for quite a distance and also quite a width.
At San Lorenzo, the main alteration system that we're currently targeting with the drilling, and remember this is a small portion of our San Lorenzo tenement package in total, but the current alteration system that we're targeting is about 15 square kilometres in area. So it's extremely large, and I'm not at all trying to postulate that is the deposit size, if there in fact is an economic deposit there. But that's our target area for our scout drilling. And within that, our initial work has identified about 5 or 6 prospects that we want to test with our initial scout drilling. And that drilling is designed to achieve a number of goals. And we've just ticked off the first goal, basically.
Very good. So it is of a serious size. I mean, what we've been seeing recently in Chile is that the grades have been slowly deteriorating. Do you expect that this will be a high grade deposit or slightly lower grade for a huge amount, if you like? What is the scenario in Chile?
No, our target here is not a small high grade type deposit. We're looking for a larger disseminated style, porphyry style or intrusive rhyolite style copper gold deposit, if you will. The advantage we have here at San Lorenzo, which a lot of our peers don't enjoy, is that we know that we have gold associated with the copper, so that can potentially bring our copper grades get down if that was the case, if we needed to. We're also close to the coast, which significantly impacts on our future potential infrastructure costs, for example. But no, the main thrust for us here is to explore for large-scale, low to medium-grade copper deposits.
And is it likely in Chile and the San Lorenzo specifically that this would be a huge open pit? That's the general way to do things here.
That would be nice. That'd be a huge open pit. Would be a nice result for us, and that's definitely what we are targeting. But that's not to say that we may not intersect smaller, higher grade potential deposits within this area. I mean, our initial thrust back in 2017 was towards a smaller Manto style high grade copper deposit. So these things are possible, and they can telescope or overlap each other.
Yeah, and what sort of copper equivalent percentage is required then for this to be economically viable? Are we talking sort of 1%, 1.5%, 0.5%? I mean, I'd just like a general idea of what we're talking about with the copper and the gold, obviously. Yep.
No, it's a very good question, and I think the answer is being given to us recently by Hot Chile, whose Cortadera project is just up the road from us, really, in the same trend, same rocks. Their work recently suggests that 0.4% equivalent is about the number we need to target.
Okay, and that will make a very profitable project. I mean, I presume because of the length and width of this thing, this is not let's dig it all up in 5 years situation. This is going to be a lot longer than that.
Yeah, and we've got to get there yet, Kevin. We've got to discover it in an economic viable context. We're nowhere near that yet. These are scout exploration holes, but yes, what you're suggesting is our aim or our goal, if you'd like, a large open pittable disseminated style copper gold deposit with a grade today of 0.4%. But the way copper's tracking, these things go up and down, but economic gold grades are generally decreasing.
Yeah.
And that's just by virtue of the fact of demand, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some mines in Chile specifically that are producing 0.2% copper and still economic.
That's right. The porphyry deposits for a long time, going back to Bougainville, 0.4% has been sort of the benchmark. But once your infrastructure is in place, of course, I mean, Morenci these days, they're mining under 0.2%, I think, from memory. That's Freeport's Morenci deposit in Arizona. So, if you've got economy of scale, you've got options.
Yeah. Okay. So this is San Lorenzo, which is the one that the one project that is, I think you'd agree, is a bit further on than the other one. So tell us a little bit about the other one that's a bit further down the fault. I think San Lorenzo's in the north, is it?
Correct.
Because we're in the southern hemisphere, I'm not quite sure which way you would say, but it's in the north, yeah. And then the other one, which I'm not even going to pronounce, but is a bit further down. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that one as well.
Yeah, San Lorenzo is located just north of the coastal town of La Serena, and our second project, the Specularita, is located about 170 kilometres south of that towards Santiago. It's in the same sort of coastal metallogenic belt as San Lorenzo, and the same belt as the Andacollo copper gold deposits. So it's very well located. It's a very exciting project for us. Comprises a very large lithocap type geology, which is significant for exploring for porphyry copper type systems. There's evidence of epithermal alteration and mineralization there as well. So yes, the beauty of the Specularita project is it demonstrates the full spectrum of deposits from deep porphyry through to mesothermal, through to epithermal and skarn manto style. So it's early days there for us. We're still conducting reconnaissance mapping and sampling with a view to increasing our footprint there where we can before we launch into project scale exploration efforts such as broad scale magnetics and gravity programs, which we're hoping to start before the end of the year.
Try and get more landmass then basically involved in that project before you kick off.
Yeah,
Very
that's
good.
right. Yeah.
So if you were a betting man, which you don't have to be, San Lorenzo against the other one, which one would you put your money on?
Very good question. And fortunately, I'm not a betting man.
That doesn't mean you don't answer the question.
But look, they both represent the same type of target. They both comprise very large alteration systems. The difference is that we have a better opportunity to see the target at San Lorenzo. The target at Especularita is buried beneath a lithocap and is still conceptual at this stage. So the conceptual under lithocap story could be very large for us. So it's very difficult to answer. I like the projects both, and we have them because we've spent a lot of time researching the belt and the area and invested a lot of time and energy in specifically selecting these two projects. So I think they both have a long way to run.
That was a very good answer, and it was a very difficult question, I accept. But that's what I'm here for.
It is a difficult question, but I appreciate you've got to ask it. But
just before Phil asks another question, I just want to try and explain for people who maybe don't understand completely, and I'm one of them. Okay, but the whole reason why Chile and this fault, if you like, has a lot of copper is because this really is a fault in the earth. Yes, that in past times the stuff has come through the ground, basically. Do you want to just explain that a little bit, just for the layman, so that we can understand a little bit? Because it's like a mountain range with a huge fault. It seems to me like two tectonic plates have collided. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like.
No, your latest analogy is absolutely correct. Two plates are colliding, and where the Pacific Oceanic Plate slides under the continental crust of South America, that has thrown up the Andean mountain range, and all along that mountain range, at least from immediately south of Santiago north to Colombia, we see evidence of these large disseminated style copper deposits that we know today as porphyry copper gold systems. What Chile also enjoys, and certainly southern Peru as well, is in the lower or coastal metallogenic belt is what we refer to as iron oxide copper gold deposits as well. So two different types. They're probably members of a broad sort of spectrum of deposits, but they're not. It's sort of semantics. Basically, Chile. If you want to go exploring for Chile, you go. If you want to go exploring for copper, you go to Chile. Because that's where the big ones are. And not only are the big ones there, but it's an excellent jurisdiction in which to work and to operate. It's easy to get around. You've got a very well-educated workforce who understand mining. Mining has been an important part of Chile since its inauguration and before, dating back to Incan times. So that's why we're there. It's a lot easier to work there than other jurisdictions have good copper endowment, but not as good as Chile. So yes, to answer your question, you're basically correct. It's not all fault controlled. It's all sort of controlled, hosted in intrusives, but those intrusives pop up along that Andean range.
So this is my last question, my last difficult question. If one of the majors came along and offered you £10 million, which is your current market cap for San Lorenzo, would you take it?
No.
Why?
It's not enough.
Why is it not enough?
Well, £10 million, it's what we've raised for two projects. I think we can get a lot more out of this project, and we're going to need a lot more to continue the drilling over over the journey. So no, 10 million wouldn't get us there.
So,
But I
you
should
mentioned
refer to the board before I make the decision.
Yeah, Sam has made the decision. The answer's no.
So I saw, obviously, Sam, that the drill rig has now moved to the Las Hermanas prospect, which we haven't really touched on in too much detail, and has commenced the scout drilling. And I was looking through the exploration timeline on your presentation, and obviously you talked about, I think, ground magnetics at Especularita. I think I pronounced that correctly. And there was a bit that sort of intrigued me in there, which said half to 2022 new project ? Is, without obviously going into too much detail, and if there's things are sensitive. Are you still progressing that possibility of a new project?
Yes, we are. Yep. We have been looking and we have been engaged. Yeah, we can't reveal anything, obviously, but
Sure.
It has been part of the strategy from day dot to add a third project to the story. Yep.
Yeah, very good.
Is that likely to be in Chile?
Definitely.
Very good.
That's not to say there won't be another one outside of Chile, but we are looking to add a third project to Chile. Yeah.
On that note, Sam Garrett, CEO of Great Southern Copper, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.